Good day, everyone. Today, our group will be exploring two fascinating and contrasting periods in art history, the Baroque and Neoclassicism. We'll delve into their unique styles, key artists, and historical context that shaped them, revealing how these movements reflect the changing social and cultural landscape of their times. Get ready for a journey through dramatic intensity and elegant restraint. I'm the leader of our group, Ashley G. Adoviso, also joined by my groupmates, Daphne Jane Reyes, who'll be focusing on slide 13 to 23, Julina Rosal, who'll be focusing this slide 24 to 33, and lastly, Emerson Riola, who will be covering the slide 34 to 44. We've all worked hard on this presentation, and we're excited to share what we've learned with you. What is Baroque art? Baroque, a Western style of architecture, music, dance, painting, sculpture, poetry, and other arts that nourish from the early 17th century until the 1750s. So, Baroque art was a really dramatic period in art history, lasting from the early 17th to the mid 18th century. Think intense emotions, swirling movement, and super detailed artwork. Artists used dramatic lighting, called chiaroscuro, to create a really powerful effect. The paintings and sculptures are full of energy and movement. It's not static art at all. There's a lot of ornate detail and decoration too. They really went all out. A lot of the art focused on religious themes, showing scenes from the Bible or depicting saints. It was a way for the church and powerful rulers to show off their wealth and power. Artists like Caravaggio, known for his dramatic use of light and shadow, and Bernini, famous for his expressive sculptures, really defined and style. Baroque art is pretty amazing. It's intense, emotional, and incredibly detailed. It's definitely worth checking out if you're interested in art history. The term Baroque derived from the Portuguese barroco, meaning irregular pearl or stone, refers to a cultural and art movement that characterized Europe from the early 17th to mid 18th century. Baroque emphasizes dramatic, exaggerated motion and clear, easily interpreted detail. Due to its exuberant irregularities, Baroque art has often been defined as being bizarre or uneven. Baroque art, the name itself sounds pretty dramatic, right? It comes from Portuguese word meaning something like an oddly shaped pearl, and that's a pretty good description of the art itself. It was a big deal in Europe from the early 1600s to the mid 1700s, and it's all about intense emotion and movement. Think of it as an art world version of a blockbuster movie. Lots of action, lots of feeling, and a whole lot of detail. The artists use really dramatic lighting to make their paintings and sculptures super emotional. Imagine lots of swirling movement, people intense poses, and incredibly detailed backgrounds. It's like they all went out with all the details, making everything feel really rich and full of life. Baroque origins and key ideas. The Baroque era, flourishing from 1590 to 1740 across Europe, is a subject of ongoing debate among art historians. Some consider it as a direct extension of Renaissance, while others argue that major historical upheavals such as Protestant Reformation and the devastating 30 Years' War, fundamentally altered European society and artistic expression, marking a clear break from its predecessor. This period witnessed profound societal changes, particularly challenges to the Roman Catholic Church authority. Okay, so the Baroque period from around 1590 to 1740 is kind of a big deal in art history, but even art historians can totally agree on what it is. Some see it as a direct continuation of the Renaissance, like Renaissance 2.0, but others think it was something completely new. A lot happened in Europe during that time that probably influenced the art. The Protestant Reformation totally shook things up, and the 30 Years' War was devastating. This huge event changed European society and how people thought, leading to some pretty big changes in art as well. It was time of massive societal shifts, particularly challenges to the power of the Catholic Church. So Baroque art wasn't just about pretty paintings, it reflected on period of intense change and upheaval. It's a really interesting time to study because of all the social and political stuff happening alongside the artistic innovations. Despite this turbulent backdrop, the Baroque artistic movement thrived, spearheaded by prominent figures like Gian Lorenzo Bernini and Francesco Borromini. These artists received significant commissions from the Vatican and its influential circles, shaping the direction of Baroque art. Their work demonstrated a clear departure from the Renaissance aesthetic. This year is 1590. Europe is a battlefield not just of armies but of ideas and beliefs. Amidst the clash of swords and the thunder of cannons, a new kind of beauty was born. It wasn't the quiet elegance of the Renaissance, but something bolder, more dramatic, Baroque. Masters artists like Bernini and Borromini seizing the moment, creating works that mirrored the turbulent times, swirling movement, intense emotion, and a breathtaking display of power and passion. Their art wasn't just a pretty picture, it was a story of a world in flux, finding its voice in a symphony of color, light, and drama. This stylistic shift involved a transition from the linear precision of Renaissance architecture and art to a more painterly, dynamic approach. Renaissance ideals of perfection, completeness, and defined limits were challenged by Baroque concept of becoming illusionism and boundless expression. Major centers of Baroque art included France, Italy, the Netherlands, and Germany. Imagine a world of perfectly balanced lines and serene order that was the Renaissance. Then, suddenly, everything changed. The Baroque arrived, a whirlwind of emotion and movement sweeping away the rigid rules of its predecessor. No longer were artists bound by the need of perfect symmetry or controlled precision. Instead, they embraced a painterly, dynamic approach, full of illusion and unrestrained expression. The shift wasn't just a stylistic change, it was a revolution, playing out across major artistic centers like France, Italy, the Netherlands, and Germany, each adding its own unique voice to the vibrant chorus of the Baroque. Style and characteristics. The Baroque art movement, spanning approximately 150 years, lacked a central directive or school. Instead, it encompassed diverse styles and schools across Europe, resulting in a whole wide range of artistic expression and interpretations. The sheer volume of exceptional artists and their varied approaches contributes to the subjectively surrounding Baroque art. Imagine a vast, bustling marketplace, not of goods but of artistic ideas. That was the Baroque. Spanning 150 years and stretching across Europe, it wasn't just a single, unified style, but a vibrant collection of individuals' voices. Each artist, a merchant in this grand marketplace, offered their unique wares, paintings, sculptures, architectures, each with its own distinct flavor and character. There was no single rule book, no central authority dictating the style. Instead, a lively exchange of ideas and techniques unfolded, resulting in a breathtaking diversity that continues to fascinate and inspire. The Baroque wasn't just an art movement, it was a vibrant, ever evolving conversation across time and space. Understanding the Baroque art is the best achieved through studying specific schools, artists, and mediums. Baroque painting is typically characterized by drama, rich colors, dramatic lighting, strong shadows, and dark backgrounds, contrasting sharply with the calmness and rationality of the Renaissance art. Baroque artists often focus on the moment before an event, emphasizing passion and tension. To truly grasp Baroque art, you have to dive deep. It's not enough to just glance at a few paintings. You need to explore the specific artists, schools, and techniques. Baroque painting is all about drama, rich colors, dramatic lighting, strong shadows against dark backgrounds. It's a stark contrast of the calmness and rationality of the Renaissance. Baroque artists often focus on the moment before the action, building up tension and passion, leaving the viewer suspended on the brink of something momentous. It's a style that demands attention, that pulls you in and make you feel the emotion. So, that is all about Baroque art and my part of the reporting. Next, that will report is my group mates. It's my group or my classmate, Miss Daphne Jane Reyes.
Good day, everyone. I'm Daphne Jane Reyes. Today I will discuss the slide number 13 to 24. Baroque painting originated in countries like the Netherlands, Italy, and Spain. Artists often focused on human figures with themes such as history, landscapes, portraits, genre scenes, and still life. And this era expanded the range of artistic subjects and style. Famous painters like Rembrandt van Rijn, Johannes Vermeer, and Peter Raoul Rubens were highly praised for their talent. So, some critics even claim that Peter Raoul Rubens matched Michelangelo's dramatic expressions and surpassed him in a color mastery. Next is Baroque sculpture. Baroque sculpture it emphasized movement and emotion, moving away from straight lines toward dynamic and expressive forms. The subject matter was too often religious, especially biblical stories from Old and New Testaments. So, sculptures aim to make a viewers feel the emotion in their works. One of the most renowned sculptures of period was Gian Lorenzo Bernini, known for bringing his sculptures to life with incredible realism and drama. Baroque architecture. In architecture, Italian architects such as Bernini, Borini, Borromini and Longhena led the Baroque movement. Its intense competition for church and Vatican commissions spread the style across Europe. Baroque architecture is known for its elaborate details, dramatic effects, and the use of optical illusions like trompe-l'oeil. By the 18th century, France became the new center of Baroque architecture with architects like Jules Hardouin Mansart and Charles Lebrun, who designed iconic works like Hall of Mirrors in Versailles. Last is Baroque furniture. Baroque furnitures began in Low Countries during the 17th century. It combined Renaissance craftsmanship with Asian decorative influences introduced by European trade. The style spread to France, Germany, England, and Italy. Key features include twisted columns, ornate carvings, a mix of wood types, and heavy gilding. The goal was to create a sense of unity and movement, reflecting the grandeur and elegance of the Baroque era. So the next representer is Miss Julina Rosal.
The Baroque furniture was popular during the 17th century, but in the 18th century, King Louis XV elegant tastes introduced new styles called Regents and Rococo, which had more symmetrical design. These styles replaced Baroque furniture across Europe and influenced English furniture makers, who initially resisted the change. Next will be the Baroque music. According dito, the Baroque era was a time of major musical innovation, mainly led by Italian composers, and although German composers like Handel and Bach became famous, the Italian composers such as Vivaldi, Monteverde, and Corelli were very influential. They still aimed to create musical with the dramatic impact of classical Greek and Roman drama, introducing the new style techniques and performance styles. To achieve this, Italian Baroque composers aimed to enhance dynamism and emotional expression in music. They developed a new musical language that allowed for powerful dramatic interpretation, and many essential elements of this language are still present today. The musical forms such as the cantata, concerto, sonata, sinfonia, and opera was originated during this period. Neoclassicism art is an important style to understand for writers, filmmakers, artists, and architects. Why? Because it changes how we think about classical art, and not just classical art as in Greek and Roman art, but all art that we consider in classic. Neoclassicism was an art movement that aimed to revive the style of classical, particularly in writing, painting, sculpting, and architecture that was inspired by Greek and Roman culture. It gained popularity in the late 18th century and early in 19th century. The movement's influence continues to be felt in the art world today. Neoclassicism began to gain popularity around 1760. This shift was driven by a growing dissatisfaction with the overly ornate and extravagant Baroque art style. Additionally, new archaeological discoveries made by German pioneer Johann Joachim Weckelmann played a significant role in sparking interest in classical antiquity, further fueling the neoclassical movement. Next is Neoclassicism artist, most famous neoclassical artist. This states that while neoclassical artists might not have the same level of fame as iconic figures like Leonardo da Vinci or Caravaggio, this does not imply a lack of great neoclassical artists. In fact, many of the most renowned neoclassical artists were considered leading figures of their time. Next presenter po would be Mr. Emerson Riola.
Good day everyone. My name is Emerson Biriola. Now, I will present the slide 33 to 44. There aren't many neoclassical artists with the same catch of Da Vinci or Caravaggio, but that doesn't mean there aren't a lot of great neoclassical artists, quite the contrary. In fact, many of the most famous neoclassical artists are regarded as preeminent leaders of their era. Let's take a look at a few of the most famous neoclassical artists. One of the most famous neoclassical artists is Jacques-Louis David. David was a French painter who's credited as a leading figure in neoclassical movement. David's 1784 painting Auto Vorati is considered a masterpiece of the neoclassicism style. David is widely regarded as the leading painter of the neoclassical movement in France. His art marked a clear departure from the ornate Rococo style. Next is Antonio Canova. Canova was an Italian sculptor and plenipotentiary of Catholic Church. His sculpture works, most notably in which were Psyche revived by Cupid's Kiss and Venus Victrix, received international acclaim throughout Europe. Canova was the foremost Italian sculptor of the Neoclassical era, celebrated for his refined marble sculptures that revived the ideals of ancient Greek and Roman art. Last is Angelica Kaufmann. Kaufmann was a Swiss painter and founding member of the Royal Academy. Kaufmann painted a wide breadth of subjects, including historical landscapes and portraits. Perhaps one of her famous works was a portrait of Johann Joachim Winckelmann. And now, why did Neoclassicism end? Neoclassicism didn't end in quite as spectacular fashion as its predecessor, but it did diminish in popularity over time. Architecture has been perhaps the most enduring form of neoclassicism, one which still pervades the world today. The Schermerhorn Symphony System in Nashville, Tennessee, constructed in 2006, is a great example of the continued legacy of neoclassical architecture. Neoclassical buildings of the 21st century have garnered the title of neoclassical style, much in the vein of the neoclassicism style before it. But in truth, there lies little distinction between the two. Neoclassical and neoclassical art are both categorized by simple geometrical portions or and grandeur. In summary of our topic, Baroque art often seeks to evoke strong emotional responses, while neoclassical art emphasizes restraint and rationality. Neoclassical style was about progress through reason, and Baroque art was about drama and exuberance. Though neoclassical architecture employs the same classical vocabulary as late Baroque architecture, it tends to emphasize its planar qualities rather than its sculptural volumes. Thank you.